What connections did your husband have with a man called Cedric Van Hastien?
Van Hastien? Well, I don't think I ever heard him mention anybody by that name. Why? Well, what's going on?
Who are your husband's friends and associates?
Well, I don't think he has any. Keeps himself very much to himself, but what's all this about?
Well, I'm not quite sure yet, Mrs. Gardner. But your husband's wanted for questioning, and it's my duty to inform you of the law and the penalties involved regarding the harboring of criminals.
Criminals? You mean Henry?
We tried to talk to him last night, and he behaved in a most suspicious manner. He was last seen driving in the direction of the airport. If he comes back here, you'd be advised to contact me. My name is Lieutenant Stain, at the CID.
But what's it all about?
I don't know. But your husband's afraid of something.
Lieutenant Stain places the facts that he's uncovered at the disposal of the brigadier in charge of the CID, along with a request for an exhumation order. The brigadier is sufficiently impressed to channel the request to the right quarter. The order is granted, and the next day, the 27th of March, sees Lieutenant Stain and Warrant Officer Hamann at the graveside in company with the district surgeon.
What's it all about, anyway?
Haven't the foggiest idea, but there's something not right here.
Gently, now. Back that vehicle a bit closer. You want a post-mortem?
Yes, please, Doctor.
What are you looking for? Or should I say, what do you want me to look for?
I don't know.
One of those, eh? Well, it might take a little time.
I'm in no hurry.
Sorry to have kept you waiting, gentlemen.
That's all right, Doctor. Was it as difficult as you feared?
Very interesting. This is the way the official autopsy report will read.
Thank you. This is the body of a well-developed, well-nourished white male, 6 feet in height and weighing 170 pounds. There is evidence that the deceased suffered grave injuries recently, with fractures of the skull, arms, legs, and ribs. There were also multiple internal injuries.
And those injuries should have been enough to kill him, but they didn't. And neither did lobar pneumonia. Read on.
In death, the body developed the characteristic cherry red color of carbon monoxide poisoning, with a concentration of 34.3%. Carbon monoxide poisoning. You sure?
You want a second opinion?
No. I just find it strange that some member of the medical profession could have been so obliging as to write on the death certificate pneumonia as the cause of death.
Well, anyone can make a mistake. Doctors aren't infallible, you know.
Carbon monoxide. A car's exhaust fumes?
No.
How can you speak with such certainty?
When fuel is burned in an engine, there's a residue of carbon. There were no deposits of carbon in Van Hastien's lungs whatsoever.
So?
I plumped for coal gas, ordinary household gas that you cook with.
Is it suicide, then?
Lieutenant, it's up to you to discover that.
If it wasn't for Gardner's suspicious behavior, I'd plump for suicide.
Gardner?
Local taxi driver. He's on the run somewhere.
That sounds intriguing.
Oh, it is.
What's the next move then, sir?
Just a minute, Mr. Hammond. Doctor, these other injuries you mentioned, these fractures and so on, you said they indicated recent injuries. How recent?
Well, judging from the calcium secreted by the body to repair the fractures, I say that these injuries occurred within the last 6 months.
I see. All right, Doctor, thank you. I'd be grateful for a typed copy of the PM report as soon as it's available.
Of course.
I'll be seeing you again, I suppose.
Yes, sure. Where are you off to now?
The hospital. Come on, Mr. Hammond.
You're very lucky. We don't normally keep things for this long, you know.
And these are the clothes Van Hastien was wearing when he was brought in on the 2nd of March?
That's right.
Pretty shabby, aren't they?
Yeah, typical of a hobo, though.
Well, I've met well-nourished hobos.
This envelope. A few things he had on him. Comb, matches, cigarettes, 9 cents, empty half-jack.
Not much of a legacy, is it? I'm going to take him with me. You want a receipt?
No. No good to us. Shouldn't think they're any dependents. Shouldn't think they'd be worth more than a bob or two.
They might be worth a great deal to me. We'll see what they look like under a microscope.
Mortuary.
Is Lieutenant Stan with you?
Hang on. For you.
Thanks. Lieutenant Stain?
Constable Longer here, sir. Message for you. Henry Gardner has been picked up in Cape Town. Western Cape request instructions.
Has he got his car with him?
Apparently, sir.
Get the Brigadier to issue a request to the effect that he be brought here with the car. Under escort.
The Brigadier's request to the police in the Western Cape is complied with. And within 24 hours, Henry Gardner is being interrogated by Lieutenant Stan.
Why did you run away?
I was scared.
Why?
I got fright. Well, so would anyone. Policeman suddenly pitching up at your car door like that.
Oh, come on, Gardner. You might get a fright for a few seconds or so, but a policeman at the door of your car shouldn't be enough to send you scurrying across country to Cape Town. What's the game?
It's no crime to run away from the police.
I ordered you to stop.
I didn't hear you.
All right, let's try another tack. Who was Cedric Van Hastings?
I don't know.
Or did you know him better as Chick?
I don't know the name.
It was enough to send you off in a blue funk.
I've got nothing more to say to you.
Somebody phoned me, a man, to tell me that Van Hastings had been murdered. He said that you could help us with our investigations. Now then, Gardner, you may find this interesting. This is an analysis report on the few belongings that Van Hastings had when he died. Traces of blood of the A1-MNRH group were found. A carbon test determined that the blood was 115 days old. It was present on the shirt, jacket, trousers, socks, and shoes.
So?
Well, there seems to be a lengthy report on the various kinds of dust which were found in the clothing. I'm not concerned with that. I'm attracted to this bit, though. Listen.
Yes?
A minute sample, a trace, of cellulose paint of the type used in the spraying of cars was discovered. Microscopic examination revealed that the pigments used to color the paint were conducive to producing the color cream. What have you got to say to that?
Oh, what do you expect me to say? What does that prove?
The color of your taxi is cream.
Hey, what are you getting at?
Now, look, Gardner, you could save us a lot of time and trouble if you tell me what happened.
I don't know what happened. I have nothing to do with this man.
Well, we'll see. Just to keep you in the picture, I'd better tell you that I'm going to scrape a sample of paint off your car and send it to the government laboratories for comparison. Meanwhile, you stay here.
Here's the address, sir, where they collected Van Hastings that night.
Algoa Boarding House, Strand Street.
I made inquiries about it, sir. Boarding house is very grandiose. It's a place where you can buy a bed for the night for 15 cents.
Not exactly the Ritz, eh?
No, sir. It's just on the left here, sir. It's apparently run by a Mrs. Combrink, Oma Combrink. Quite a character.
Where's the entrance?
Up the wooden steps here, sir. Up on the first floor.
Dark enough.
And smelly enough.
Who's there?
Police?
What do you want? I run a respectable place here, never any trouble.
A little more than 3 weeks ago, a man died here.
That's right. Oh, Chick. What of it?
Where did he die?
In his bed. We didn't know he was so sick. He went in the night like the snuffing of a candle. He was a regular customer of mine, man and boy, for 15 years.
Who was with him when he died?
Nobody. It's a rule of the house, one person per bed.
Do you have gas here?
That's right. It's permitted by the health authorities. I've got a license to prove it.
Use it for light?
Yeah, they made me put in electricity. Cost a packet, too.
You use it for cooking?
That's it. Cooking. Wholesome food, nice, clean bed.
So where's the kitchen?
Just along here. First on the right. Mind your head.
I see. And where are the dormitories? The sleeping area?
Up the passage on the left.
Is it possible to get into the kitchen at night?
Oh, yeah. Everything's locked away. They can't steal nothing.
See. Who actually found Van Hastings?
Now, let me see. Oh, yeah, it was Chaffee. They sometimes worked on the road together. You know, they follow the sun, these boys. Hitchhike and walk all over the country.
Is, Chappie a nickname?
Yeah, that's right. His real name's Finch. He'd been with Chick for some time before his death. He said they was caught in a storm down by George. Chick caught his death, pneumonia, you see.
That's what Finch said, eh?
That's right.
Is Finch staying here at the moment?
No, I haven't seen him since Monday night.
Monday. That was the 25th, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. He just popped in and collected his case and said he was off again.
What does he look like?
Why? What do you want him for?
Just a routine matter.
He's small, you know. He's got jackal's features, very sharp. Of course, he's brown and lined. He's skinny, too. But ask any gentleman of the road. They'll tell you where to find him.
Mr. Harmon, get on to control for a general alert. I'm going to see Dr. Meyerowitz. Dr. Meyerowitz, did you sign this death certificate?
Yes. Why? What appears to be the trouble?
You say that cause of death was pneumonia. Did you treat the man prior to his death?
No. What appears to be the trouble?
Cedric Van Hastings died of carbon monoxide poisoning. He was gassed.
Good heavens, no. Not really.
What led you to the conclusion that he died of pneumonia?
It was his friend said so. He said he'd been ill for some time with a cough, temperature and so on. He told of how they'd been caught in a storm. It seemed very conclusive. I'm in semi-retirement, you know. To tell you the truth, I was rather anxious to get away from the place. I don't have the practice that I had. I took the man's word in good faith. I hope it's not going to lead to any unpleasantness.
The man who gave you the information about Van Hastings' state of health, what did he look like?
He's a little man with a foxy face.
The prisoner, sir.
Come and sit down, Gardner.
You can't hold me here like this?
Yes, I can, and I'm going to hold you until I'm satisfied about the circumstances surrounding Van Hastings' death.
I've never heard of that man. How many more times must I tell you?
Here's another lab report that I'd like you to hear. Also an analysis. You remember we took a sample of paint from your car? Well, the labs say that it matches the paint found on Van Hastings' clothing.
It's impossible.
I'm afraid not. You've got forensic science against you, Gardner. This report is properly certified. It's legal evidence. And if I add this evidence to other things which were discovered during a post-mortem examination of Van Hastings' body, I get something which seems to add up to a nasty accident involving your taxi and Van Hastings. That's logic.
You examined the body?
That's right. The body was exhumed. What have you got to say to that?
I want to talk to a lawyer.
Yes, certainly. You have that right. Why don't you tell me what happened?
Now, I want to talk to a lawyer. I'm not saying another word until I do.
Any news of Finch, the hobo? Well, I want him found. He's vital in the case. Please, yes, I don't care if he's gone to Southwest Africa. I want him here in PE.
Chappie? No, I haven't seen him since Durban last year. Must be all of 3 years since I shared a Bloemfontein boiler room with him up in Joburg.
Yeah, we wrote the rails together across the border. There was a mistake on my part. They kicked me out of Botswana and told me not to come back.
Yeah, my name's Finch.
You're under arrest.
What for?
You're wanted in South Africa.
You can't make me go there.
I'm afraid we can. You're being extradited.
But I haven't done anything.
They think differently in Port Elizabeth. You'll be taken there under escort on tonight's train. You're such a VIP, they're having a reception committee laid on to meet you. A Lieutenant Stain.
Now then, Finch, was it you who phoned me on the 25th of March?
Phoned you? Where? Why?
I've had the whole story from Gardner.
You what?
Has he blabbed a lot, then?
I'm afraid so. You're very seriously implicated in the death of Cedric Van Hastings.
Is that what he told you?
Yes.
Well, let me put the record straight. You're not going to stretch my neck. Just let me tell you the way it really happened.
I'm listening. Gardner, I want to tell you a story. There was once a taxi driver. It was quite late one night. The way I figure it, it was the 6th, 7th, or 8th of November. This taxi driver had had more to drink than was good for him. He collected a pedestrian on his front fender. He panicked. He drove away from the scene of the accident without reporting it to anyone. He thought at first he'd killed the pedestrian, but he hadn't.
But
the pedestrian lived. Not only that, he remembered the make and registration number of the car that hit him. He didn't say anything to the police because he had nearly 4 months free hospitalization. That meant he had bed and board at the provincial administration's expense.
Yes, but...
Wait a minute. But while he was in hospital, he got to thinking, and when he came out, the first thing he did was to contact the man who'd knocked him down and left him for dead. He began to blackmail him, and the taxi driver, realizing that he was in danger of losing his license, and therefore his means of livelihood, decided that it would be best to do away with the pedestrian.
Listen.
He even went to the lengths of procuring an accomplice. Together, the taxi driver and his accomplice plied the pedestrian with drink until he was insensible. Then they took him, in the taxi, ironically enough, to the Algoa boarding house in Strand Street. They pretended to put him to bed for the night. And during the night, on his own, the taxi driver dragged the poor, unfortunate pedestrian into the kitchen. It was there that he forced a rubber pipe down the pedestrian's throat. The other end was attached to a gas tap. He turned on the gas, and it wasn't very long before the pedestrian departed from this world.
No, it's a lie. I never...
Yes, you did. And I'm glad to say that I'm in a position to prove it.
Bulge as he vehemently denies Lieutenant Staines' accusations.
Finch is a liar. If that's what he says about me...
That's mistake number 2, Gardner. I only ever called him an accomplice in the story. How'd you know his name was Finch?
No, man, please. I'm sorry. I was frightened. I stood to lose everything. He was only a bum man, I hope.
He was also a human being. The other mistake you made...
No, please, give him a chance.
It's a bit late for that, Gardner. What chance did you give Van Hastings? You murdered him like a dog. If you'd paid your accomplice the money you promised him, this would never have happened. You kept putting him off, and he got so fed up that he phoned me. That was the beginning of the end for you. If you'd only stopped after that accident in November. It was November, wasn't it?
Yes.
You'd have only lost your license. This way you stand to lose everything.
Edward Finch turned state's evidence in the case and was sent to prison for 10 years. Confronted with the overwhelming evidence of Finch and medical science, a judge and 2 assessors had no hesitation in sentencing Henry Gardner to die on the gallows.
They prowl the empty streets at night, waiting, in fast cars, on foot, living with crime and violence. These men are on duty 24 hours out of every 24. They face dangers at every turn, expecting nothing less. They protect the people of South Africa. These are the men of squad cars. Listen again next Friday evening to another authentic story in our dramatic South African police series, Squad Cars, brought to you by General Motors, makers of the biggest and most exciting range of cars, trucks, and commercial vehicles in the world. Cadillac, Buick, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, Beaumont, Chevrolet, Opel, Holden, Vauxhall, Bedford, GMC, and Ranger, South Africa's own car.
"21st Precinct, Sergeant Waters. What do you mean you were robbed?" "Oh, broke into your apartment. Well, where is it? 761? Or what apartment number? Is that B or C?" "You are in the muster room at the 21st Precinct, the nerve center. A call is coming through." You will follow the action taken pursuant to that call from this minute until the final report is written in the 124 room at the 21st Precinct. Yes, sir, all right. I'll send an officer right over there. Yes, sir. They'll be there in a few minutes. You just wait. That's right. Yes, sir, you just wait there.
21st Precinct. It's just lines on a map of the city of New York. 173,000 people wedged into the 9/10 of a square mile between Fifth Avenue and the East River. The security of their homes, their persons, and their property is the job of the men of the 21st Precinct.
The 21st. 160 patrolmen, 11 sergeants, and 4 lieutenants, of whom I'm the boss. My name is Keogh. Thomas P. Keogh. I'm captain in command of the 21st Precinct. I was doing night duty, 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. It had been 1 week exactly since I had been transferred to command of the 21st Precinct from Borough Headquarters of the Bronx, where I had been assigned since my promotion from lieutenant to captain in August 1954. On assuming command, succeeding Captain Vincent T. Cronin, who had been transferred to the office of the chief inspector, I spent the first few days getting acquainted with various conditions in the precinct by remaining on patrol as much as possible during my time on duty. This is my first assignment in Manhattan since I was a detective attached to the 34th Squad. As a sergeant, and subsequently lieutenant and captain, I did duty in Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. On this particular night, I had been out on patrol since 6:30, and it was nearly 9:30 when I returned to the station house and walked into the muster room, where Lieutenant Snyder was desk officer and Sergeant Waters had telephone switchboard duty. Hello, Captain. Sergeant, what's doing? Nothing much. Lieutenant King's been wanting to talk to you. Is he upstairs? Yes, sir, I think so. Swing up there and tell him I'm back while I sign the blotter. Yes, sir. Hello, Lieutenant.
21st Squad, Detective Novak.
Sergeant Waters on TS. Would you tell Lieutenant King that Captain Keogh is back in the house?
Yes, sure. Lieutenant, Captain Keogh is downstairs. Yes, sir. All right. Yes, the captain will wait there. Lieutenant King is coming downstairs.
Yeah, okay. You got Lieutenant King? Yes, sir. He's on his way downstairs. Directives came through just after you left, Captain. Short sleeve shirts and open collars are permissible for all men on day tours. Okay, have Fallon posted on the board. I already told him, Captain. Excuse me. Yes, go ahead. 21st Precinct, Sergeant Waters. Lady, I told you before, there's nothing we can do about that. We chase robbers. We're not plumbers. I know, though, Captain. Matt, what's doing? Lady, can I talk to you in your office? Yes, sure. I'll be in my office, Sergeant. Yes, sir. I can't send a police
What have you got,
over
Matt?
for that, lady.
Yes, go ahead.
I know, but why don't you keep on?
Yes, sit down.
Yes.
Well, what is it?
Looks like we've got a cop in a jam.
From here?
Yes, sir.
Who?
I don't know yet.
Well, what's it all about?
Well, the commander of the 6th Squad called up here about an hour ago. 2 uniformed men jumped a burglar coming out of an apartment building. They had to chase him into the courtyard, but they finally collared him.
Yeah?
They brought him into the station house. He admitted he was in an apartment there. He dropped a pillowcase during the chase. Had a portable radio, an electric razor, a few other things in it. Came out of the apartment. We took him up to the squad down there and started to talk to him about other deals. The boy admits to about 25 burglaries.
Well, what's that got to do with us?
Well, the boy, his name is Eakley, Leroy Eakley, told him he burglarized an apartment in this precinct 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Got a couple of suits, some jewelry, good stuff. A gun, about $600 in cash. Said he came down the service entrance, walked out into the street. Said as soon as he hit the sidewalk, a cop was there and shoved him against the building. Said he thought he was through. The cop went through the stuff. He admitted he burglarized his apartment. Said the cop went through his pockets and found the cash.
Yeah?
He said the cop put the money in his own pocket, gave him back all the merchandise, hit him on the can with his nightstick, and told him to get out of the precinct. Leroy said he ran to the subway station, got on a train, hasn't been back on the east side since.
Well, what does it sound like to you? Have you got a cigarette, Matt?
Yeah, sure, Captain.
Thanks.
Thanks. You're welcome. Well, I went through our squeals. June 18th, to Mr. Philip Rooston, 761 East 68th Street, a lawyer with offices at 156 Wall. Reported his apartment had been broken into. 3 suits of his, a diamond ring, a wristwatch, and a diamond pin belonging to his wife, .32 caliber S&W revolver, for which he had a permit, And $575 in cash were taken. Well, that sounds like the same deal this boy was talking about. Yes, sir, it does. Check the story. Police said he burglarized the house. He reported this on the 18th? Yes, sir. When did the burglary occur? At night of the 17th? Could have been either the 15th, 16th, or 17th, Captain. It was a weekend. Mr. and Mrs. Rooston left the city Friday afternoon to spend the weekend in the country. They discovered the burglary when they got back Monday morning. What time of night did all this occur? Did you find that out? No, sir, not yet. The squad commander down there, Lieutenant McInerney, told me they were still questioning the boy. Wanted to let me know what they were developing.
21st Precinct, Sergeant Waters.
Sergeant, 761 East 68th Street is on what post?
Post number 9, Captain.
Get out the telephone switchboard record and the post list for the 4 to 12 and the 12 to 8 tours for June 15th, 16th, and 17th.
Yes.
Bring them in here. And bring the blotter, too, right away.
Something the matter, Captain?
Yes, something's the matter. Get those records out and bring them in here.
Yes, sir. Right away.
For this and other purposes, the records of the precinct contain a detailed account of the movements of every member of the command. The blotter, for instance, shows for each tour in the handwriting of the desk officer the assignments of patrolmen to posts and motor patrol duty, the time each post is vacated for meal period, all post changes and movements during a tour of duty, and a notation of the nature, time, and location of duty performed by each member of the command. From these records, Lieutenant King and I narrowed the possibilities down to 4 patrolmen who had worked post number 9 on either the night or late tours, June 15th, 16th, and 17th. In order to narrow the list still further, we drove to the 6th precinct at 135 Charles Street in Greenwich Village to interview the burglary suspects. There, with Lieutenant King, I went upstairs to the 6th Detective Squad. Yes, sir. Can I help you? We're in the job. This is Captain Keogh of the 21st Precinct. I'm Lieutenant King. Oh, yes, sir. Lieutenant McInerney is in his office. Thanks. 6th Squad, Detective Ross. Ed? Come in, Matt. Yes, ma'am. Want to close the door, Matt? Yeah, sure. Lieutenant McInerney, the squad commander, Captain Keogh. How are you, Captain? Well, I don't know. Yes, sir. I get how you feel. Do you want to sit down? Thanks. What about this boy, Ed?
Well, he's a good boy, all right. Done one bit in Sing Sing's burglary. We think he's been into 25 or 30 flats all over town, maybe more. You can't remember them all.
What about the story he tells?
Well, unfortunately, it sounds pretty straight, Captain.
It checks with a squeal we've got.
Oh, does it? Well, that cop had his hands on a good burglar. 9 chances out of 10, he would have gotten a commendation, a promotion to detective. Pay raise for 1 year alone would have amounted to as much as he took off the boy. That cop is an idiot.
No, a little more than an idiot.
Yeah, an idiot with everything else, Captain. You got him spotted?
We've got it narrowed down to 4. The complainants were away Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. Could have happened on any of those nights. Neither the 4 to 12 or 12 to 8 tours. You didn't pick the time any closer, did you?
No, I thought I'd wait until you got down here. George Squeal. You'd want to talk to him about it.
Where is this boy?
It's outside. I'll have him brought in. Ross?
Yes, sir.
Bring that Leroy in here.
Yes, sir.
You got it down to 4, huh?
That's right. We've got one man who was working the 4 to 12 on Saturday and Sunday nights. He was swinging Friday night. Another man was working the 12 to 8 was swinging Saturday night. Those 2 men, the 2 who relieved them.
Well, if you could fix it either on the 4 to 12 or 12 to 8, that'd knock 2 of them out of the box, man.
Yeah, if he'd got the right night from the boy, it'd be down to the man.
Well, this Leroy was pretty vague about dates and times. He's been in so many flats, he doesn't know one from the other. Yeah, who is it? Come in.
Go ahead, Leroy.
Where? Over there.
Listen, I was sleeping back there. He woke me up.
From now on, Leroy, your time is not your own. Sit down there.
Yeah.
Okay, Ross. Thank you.
Yes.
Leroy, this is Captain Keogh and Lieutenant King. They're from uptown, the 21st. They want to know something about that officer taking the money off you.
Oh, yeah. You told Lieutenant McInerney it was $500 or $600.
Yeah, that's right. 500 or 600.
You burglarized an apartment there. You took some suits, a gun, some jewelry, and the cash. When'd you have time to stop and count the money?
Well, you know how human nature is. I found the cash in a drawer there. The first thing I was tempted to do was look at it. I saw a couple hundreds, a couple 50s, 10s, and 20s. I figured 500 to 600. I shoved it in my pocket.
What did you do with the gun you got out of there?
Oh, I don't care for guns. I figure you have a gun on your hip, you're going to shoot it. I never did go in for that kind of heavy stuff. I gave it to a very good friend of mine.
What's his name?
His name is Jack Agno. But he don't have it. He stole it, he told me. A lot of nerve. I gave him the gun and he sold it. To a stranger.
Where is this Jack Agno? Can we locate him?
That's the easiest thing in the world. But he don't have the gun.
Well, where is he, Leroy?
In the Tombs. He got picked up last week on a deal.
Where'd he get picked up?
In Times Square, yeah. I told him a dozen times if he's going to go in a public place like Times Square, he shouldn't wear a sports jacket that's 3 sizes too large for him. You know, a real fine sports jacket. What do you call it? Cashmere. He got it out of some flat and he fell in love with the cloth. The cloth was fine, but in a million years, it couldn't have been his jacket. Some detective stopped him on Broadway and said, "Hey, Bud, where'd you get the coat?" That was that. That's what comes of being too much a clothes horse, you know.
Well, to get back to the night you got the gun and the money up on the 21st.
I don't know. It's the 21st. I couldn't swear it.
Well, it was. You remember what night it was?
What night? Well, what? What do you mean?
Well, it had to be either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
No, I couldn't remember what night it was. I've been working almost every night. Nearly. My memory don't serve me on that.
June 15th, 16th, or 17th. Friday, Saturday, or Sunday night.
It beats the living daylights out of me, Lieutenant.
That Sunday was Father's Day, the 17th.
Oh, was it?
Does that locate the time in your mind?
I ain't seen my old man in years. Oh, my friend, Jack Agno.
It's in the Tombs.
Yeah. Jack was worried what to give his old man. I said he ought to give him a hit in the head.
When was this you talked to Jack about it?
Well, it was the night before. He said Father's Day was tomorrow. He didn't have a thing to take him. Oh, that was after I did this deal, the one with the cop.
Was it?
Yeah, because he mentioned this Father's Day to me while we were out at the trots between races. And that was the night after the night I went into that particular flat. So that must have been Friday night I was in the flat and the cop nailed me.
Friday night, June 15th.
If you say so, okay.
What time of the night was it, Leroy?
Time of the night?
Yes.
Oh, that also would be kind of hard to say.
Well, let's start at midnight. Would you say it was before or after midnight?
Or does it make a difference?
Yes, it does. What'd you do before you went over and broke into that flat?
Oh, let's see. I don't know. I can tell you what I did after. I met Jack, and he and I went to my place to drop the suits and the scum I got.
Jack sure figures into your life a lot, doesn't he?
Oh, he's my best friend. And then from my place, we went over to meet a girlfriend of his after she got off work. Oh, yeah, it must have been 10:30 or 11 I hit the flat because this girlfriend of Jack's works in the cafeteria down here in the village over 7th Avenue. She gets off at midnight.
You're sure about that?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Well, that pretty well sets the time for you, Captain. Friday, June 15th, during the 4 to 12 tour.
Yeah.
Leroy, do you think you'll be able to identify the officer who took the money off you?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know about that.
Well, what did he look like?
A cop with a blue suit.
Was he young? Was he tall? What?
Well, look, Cap, I wasn't interested in what he looked like. Young, tall, short, I don't know. All I could see was a cop. I was nailed. When he took the money, slapped me with a stick and said, "Go," I went. I didn't turn around to see what color eyes he had.
Well, we're going to give you a chance to identify him, if you can.
Well, if I can, I will. I opened up and told you about this, didn't I? If I didn't want to help you, I could have clammed. A cop catches me and takes me in. I got no beef against him. But if he turns out to be a bigger thief than me, I got no regrets. No regrets at all. Except maybe that my good friend Jack is laying in the tomb. All alone in the world.
Well, don't you worry about that, Leroy. You'll be down there to keep him company. Lieutenant King, Lieutenant McInerney of the 6th Squad, and I continued to interrogate the burglary suspect, Leroy Eakley. The officer he referred to was most likely Patrolman Philip Austin, who, the record showed, was assigned to post number 9 during the 4 to 12 tour on Friday, June 15th. It was decided to continue the investigation at the 21st, and arrangements were made to transport the prisoner in the custody of Patrolman Gerber of the 6th Precinct, one of the arresting officers. Before we left, I phoned through CB to Lieutenant Snyder, the desk officer of the 21st, and gave him instructions to detain Patrolman Austin and all the members of his squad, which again was working the 4 to 12 tour, for my arrival. At 12:10, after having been relieved from his post, Patrolman Austin returned to the station house and walked through the front door into the muster room.
Austin.
Yes, Sergeant.
Come here.
What is it, Sergeant?
Just a second. 21st Precinct, Sergeant Waters. Lieutenant who? Oh, Lieutenant Gorman isn't due in here until 8 a.m. Yes, sir. Oh, that's all right. What's the trouble? The captain wants to hold your squad. Yeah? He's on his way uptown. Wait for him in the back room. Why? Just wait. Well, look, Sergeant, my wife's brother has a birthday party tonight. I told him I'd get over there soon after 12 as I could. He'll have another birthday next year. What do you say, Phil? Farrell. Yes, Sergeant. Come here. What's it all about? You want to see me, Sergeant? Yeah.
Wait in the back room for the captain. He'll be back any minute. What's the trouble? There's no trouble. Just wait. Okay, Sergeant. Oh, and don't change from your uniforms. Leave them on. Look, Sergeant, he's liable to be another hour. Will you stop giving me an argument? Go ahead. Sure, Sergeant. Come on, Phil. Yeah? I don't know. Why do I have to get all the dirty details? Well, it's not that bad. Hi, fellas. Anybody know what this is all about?
No, it's me.
Big deal. The guy is in the precinct a week and he's got us jumping. Come on, Phil. Sit down. There's no sense getting worked out. I don't know if the captain wants to see us. Where is he? Look, we're all in the same boat. No, but you got no place to go except home and to bed, Farrell. Every time somebody can think of some extra detail, they think of us. Well, don't get mad until you find out what it is.
Hi, Austin.
Now, you know as much as we do. Grab a seat. They probably got the midnight snack on the table over there now, and the beer is just flowing. Oh, stop aggravating yourself, will you? What do you expect me to do? I'm out walking a post for 8 hours. When the tour is over, my time should be my own. This is something I'm going to take up with the delegates. Watch it, Skipper. I'm sorry to hold you, men.
Sorry, Captain.
Hello, Lieutenant. Farrell. Lieutenant King and I would like to have you stay around a few minutes to help us out on something. Is that all right with you? Yes. How long will it take, Captain? Not very long, Austin. I have to go into my office. We'll be ready for you in a few minutes. Come on, now. Okay, Captain. Oh, that's Austin. Have you met him before? Yes, but I didn't connect up the face and the name. It's rough having something like this your first week in command. Yeah. Sergeant?
Yes, sir.
You're getting the other men in here?
Yes, sir.
The rest of them should be on their way. All right, Sergeant. When they get here, send them into the back room. Then let me know. I'll be in my office.
Sergeant, would you ring upstairs and have Novak come see me in the captain's office?
Yes, sir.
What kind of a record has Austin got in the department, Captain?
Well, I got to look at his UF-42. It's just fair. Good educational background. 2 years in the Coast Guard. Nothing outstanding in the department. Up on charges once about 3 years ago for leaving his post without permission. Not in this precinct. He lost 5 days' pay. No trouble with him since. They say he isn't the best man we've got, but he's been doing his job. Go ahead, man. Thanks, Gooder.
Well, what's going to happen?
Don't get in a hurry, Leroy. You've got plenty of time.
I'm not getting in a hurry. I'm just getting hungry, that's all. Is there a delicatessen close? I'd like to send out for a sandwich. Just my luck to get collared right before supper.
You'll get something to eat in a little while.
But there's no time like the present.
Leroy, you told us you burglarized a flat, and on your way out, a police officer collared you.
Yeah, that's right. That's the honest to goodness truth.
Now we want you to identify the police officer.
Well, I told you I didn't know whether I could do that.
You stood there and talked to him, didn't you?
For how long? It was only a couple of seconds like that, that's all.
That's long enough to get a look.
It was in the nighttime. It was dark.
Let me get this straight. Where was this? Right outside the service entrance of that apartment building?
Yeah, that's right outside.
As soon as you came out the door.
Yeah, it was like he was waiting there for me when I came out the door. Listen, could you send out for a sandwich for me?
Soon, Leroy.
I like a corned beef on rye with coleslaw and some pickle. Also coffee.
Yes, as soon as we get through here. Yes, who is it?
Novak.
Come in.
Want me, Lieutenant? Yeah, Novak, I want you. Yes, sir?
I'm entitled to get something to eat before you ship me down the tubes. The bill of fare down there ain't enough to write home about, you know. I saw this girl that goes with my good friend Jack the other day. She was down there to see him. He says the bill of fare hasn't improved any since the last year or so either. And Jack ain't hard to please when it comes to food. Give him any old slop. He's happy.
All right, get going, Novak. Yes, sir. All right, I guess we're about set, Captain.
What's that for what?
To give you a look and see if you can identify that police officer.
Well, I told you I didn't know whether I could do that. I couldn't tell him from Adam.
Well, we think we can, Leroy. We think we know who he is. We want to give you a look and see if you agree with us.
There are 23,000 members of the police department of the city of New York. With their families, the force comprises a community larger than all but 94 of the most populous cities in the country. As in any group so large and from such varied backgrounds, occasional deviation of character is expected, and the methods of dealing with it are provided for in the laws of the state, the rules and regulations of the department, and the manual of procedure. These provisions afford the same protection to an accused police officer as to any other suspect. In all criminal cases, identification is usually the most important criterion. In this one, we proceeded to determine whether the burglary suspect, Leroy Eakley, could identify the police officer he accused. In addition to the principal suspect, Patrolman Austin and a dozen other officers were waiting in the back room. When we were ready, they were formed into a line and marched into the muster room.
Right, up. Left, face. Right, stretch. Round at ease.
tell you what the story is. All right. We're conducting an investigation. We're holding a man who's made an accusation against a police officer. I want to see right here and now if he can identify that patrolman. Farrell, would you go in the captain's office, ask him to come out here?
Yes. Right away, Lieutenant.
What's this cop supposed to be accused of, Captain?
Among other things, receiving stolen property and failing to take proper police action.
All right, come over here, Leroy.
I'll come in, but I don't know what good it'll do.
There's a number of police officers there, Leroy. Take a good look at every one of them.
Yeah?
And tell us if you see the man who took the money off you.
And Leroy?
Yeah.
You say this police officer spoke to you. If you want to hear the voice of any one of these men, just ask him to talk. If he asks any of you to talk, state your rank, name, and field number. Go ahead, Leroy. Take a look. You see the man, Leroy?
I don't know.
Take another look.
I'd like to hear this fella say something.
Go ahead. Name, rank, and field number.
Patrolman John Farrell, 24381.
No. You let this one talk?
Go ahead.
Patrolman Philip Austin, 31650.
Would you come again?
Patrolman Philip Austin, 31650.
No, I can't make him. I don't see him.
You want to take another try down the line?
I can't make him. It was too dark there. I told you that.
Austin and Farrell, wait in the back room for a while. Right, Sergeant? Dismiss the squad.
What, attention? Dismiss.
Come on, Leroy.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Let's go back in my office.
I'll go anyplace. Well, don't look at me like that. What do you want me to do? Say it was somebody if I wasn't positively sure? What do you take me for?
Did you think it was any of the men there?
Didn't I tell you it was dark?
Go ahead, inside.
Lieutenant. Yes, now that.
Sit down over there, Leroy.
What I want to know is when I'm going to get something to eat.
I went over there, Lieutenant.
He'll get you something to eat, Leroy.
Oh, that's good. A guy could starve to death around here. How much trouble would it be to send out to a delicatessen? I got some money I could pay for it. You wouldn't let me starve, would you?
No, we wouldn't let you starve.
Leroy, there's something I'd like to get straight.
Yeah, sure.
You said you couldn't see the cop over there because it was pitch dark. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's the service entrance.
Yeah, the side door, the service entrance.
Novak?
Yeah, Lieutenant?
You just came back from that apartment building over there, right?
Yes, sir.
You look at the service entrance where the cop was supposed to have collared Leroy?
Yes, sir.
Was it dark?
There's a light over the door. Trooper told me it's never out at night. In addition, that door is right under a streetlight.
Would you say it's light enough over there to see a man's face?
Lieutenant, it's light enough to read a newspaper.
What have you got to say about that, Leroy?
Well, listen, maybe the electric was off that
The
night.
electric wasn't off, Leroy. You're just a plain liar. You've been wasting our time all night.
No, I've been giving it
You've
to
been
you
going
straight.
around corners. Well, we're not going to waste any more time. What about it? Did you see that cop or didn't you?
You don't want to waste any more time, huh?
No.
All right, I won't waste any more time. I didn't see a cop because there wasn't any cop.
Then why the story?
Well, it's very involved.
This has been very involved all night.
Yeah, Cap, you got a point. Now, I told a story for two reasons. One is I told it before to my good friend Jack. You see, he was in that flat with me. I didn't tell him about the money when I found it. After we got out, we broke up and met later, just like I told you, at the cafeteria where his girl worked. I figured this flat we made might belong to some celebrity, and the papers would have the story and tell exactly how much cash was took. So I made up the little tale about the cop to Jack. He bought it because being a thief, he believes that's the logical thing for a cop to do.
That's what he would think.
Yeah. So when I got collared tonight, I knew I was going to see Jack in the Tombs again, so I stuck with a story, because he's big. Boy, he's big. In addition to which, if I played it along and told the same story, maybe I'd get a break. You know, the newspapers and the DA, everybody go for that stuff. I thought I'd get a break out of it. But I was honest. I didn't identify any cop. I didn't get anybody in a jam, not me.
No, you didn't identify anybody because you might have picked somebody who wasn't anywhere near that spot.
Oh, that's a point. I grant you that.
I'll be right back, Matt.
But you still got to give me credit.
Captain? Yes, Sergeant. Is everything all right? That bum was lying. He pulled the whole story out of the air.
That makes me feel a little better.
Yeah, well, I feel better, too. Much better.
Oh, Austin and Farrell are waiting here. Shall I let them go, Captain?
No, I will. Thanks. You men
Yes, sir? You can get changed now and go home.
Right, sir.
Just a second, Austin.
Yes, sir.
Never mind. Good night. I'll see you tomorrow.
Good night, Captain. How do you like that?
What?
We have to stay around here on our own time on some deal we've got nothing to do with. We don't even get a word of thanks.
Well, what can you do?
That's the trouble. There's nothing you can do.
21st Precinct, Sergeant Waters. Where? East what? East 77th. Do both of them have guns? What is this? Oh, in the liquor store. A cop is what? Oh, wait a minute, not so fast. What about a taxi?
And so it goes. Around the clock. Through the week. Every day. Every year. A police precinct in the city of New York is a flesh and blood merry-go-round. Anyone can catch the brass ring. Or the brass ring can catch anyone.
21st Precinct, a factual account of the way police work in the world's greatest city, is presented with the official cooperation of the Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, an organization of more than 20,000 members of the Police Department, City of New York. Les Damon in the role of Captain Keogh, Ken Lynch as Lieutenant King, Harold Stone as Sergeant Waters. Featured in tonight's cast were Bill Quinn, Bill Zuckert, Mandel Kramer, John Sylvester, and Lawson Zerby. 21st Precinct is written, produced, and directed by Stanley Niss. Art Hanna speaking.
Which we presented to you in this series, the question has been not who did it, but why. That is why I've always found the particular case which I'm going to tell you about intriguing. In fact, we've called it murder without motive. Imagine then that you are a member of the jury at a case which in its own way is something of a classic. If you'd been living in the city of Edinburgh in 1865, you might easily have been brought to apply your minds to this problem. You would have spent 5 days in the jury box. 5 days, which, as a writer of the time put it, were like 5 great acts of a terrible tragedy. Time and again each day, you would have inevitably have turned your eyes towards the dock where sat. But it's better to go back and let you see for yourselves the unlikely road which brought to that dock this handsome, gentle-looking 40-year-old doctor, Ed Woodpritchard. The doctor had been married in the autumn of 1850, and his wife's family had bought a practice for him in Hunmanby, in Yorkshire. It seemed that the doctor was not a great success. The Pritchards, in due course, moved to Glasgow. He became a director of the Glasgow Athenaeum, a voluntary examiner for the Society of Arts. He gave lectures. Yes, indeed, he gave lectures. It was his favorite hobby. And the records show that he was an arresting, even startling lecturer.
I have plucked the eaglets from their eyries in the deserts of Arabia, and hunted the Nubian lion in the prairies of North America.
A favorite subject of his was the Fiji Islands, but unfortunately for his reputation, his thrilling facts were never quite the same twice. Then there was his friendship with the great Italian patriot, Garibaldi. He loved talking about that.
This walking stick, ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to say was a present to me from the great Garibaldi, as this inscription testifies.
Oh, man, I've seen the doctor with that stick often, and he had no inscription on his men. I don't believe he ever clapped eyes on Garibaldi. He's just a big liar, and that's not all I've heard it said.
No, Edward Pritchard wasn't making much impression on the good citizens of Glasgow. Inevitably, it reflected itself in his practice. He had a good house in Sauchiehall Street and a servant, but the money that bought the house was borrowed, £500 from his mother-in-law, Mrs. Taylor. So there we have the situation. The respectable, if not very popular or prosperous doctor, the quiet, dull, provincial household. Every outward sign of mutual affection and tranquility. No sign of strain or passion or desperation. None of the emotional fusses which are often found leading to the detonation of violent crime. Let the judge set the scene for you.
The time over which this history runs is but short. It commences in the month of November and terminates upon the 18th of March with the death of Mrs. Pritchard. The scene of the double tragedy is equally contracted. It is all confined within the four walls of the dwelling house in Sauchiehall Street. For from that house, Mrs. Pritchard never moved from the time she returned from Edinburgh a little before Christmas.
But no sooner had Mrs. Pritchard returned from Edinburgh to her home in Glasgow than she began to feel ill. The symptoms which had worried her before her holiday in Edinburgh came back to plague the poor woman again. As Jenny, the maid, put it,
I'm worried about the mistress. She's not well at all, and she's getting worse. I'm at wit's end to know what to cook for her. Her body must eat, and she doesn't seem to relish anything. Up in the middle of the night, brandy and poultices. It can't go on. We'll all be ill for long. Gate 6, there's her bell again.
Was that Mrs. Pritchard's bell I heard?
Yes, Doctor, it was that. It never hardly stops, poor soul. And Miss Mary's gone away to see what she wants.
Good. Well, Jeanie, you'll be glad to hear that we're going to have a nurse.
A nurse, Doctor?
Yes, Jeanie. You know Dr. Khan, Mrs. Pritchard's cousin, who was through from Edinburgh the other day? Well, he's spoken to Mrs. Pritchard's mother, and she's coming through to look after our invalid.
Oh, I'm right glad to hear that, Doctor. It'll be a great relief to you. It's a blessing.
Yes, Jeanie, a blessing. Yes. Yes, a great blessing.
I wonder if it was such a blessing to the gallant doctor. Maybe the arrival of his mother-in-law, Mrs. Taylor, at that moment could not have been more inconvenient. She was an obstacle, and to a determined man, obstacles have to be removed.
Jeanie. Oh, Mrs. Taylor, I'm real glad to see you.
Yes, Jeanie, I'm sure you are. You must all have been having a very trying time. I've just seen Mrs. Pritchard, and she tells me she can't eat anything. Now, I want you to prepare some tapioca. I'm sure she'll like that. You must get her to eat something.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Tapioca. I've never tried her with that. Yes, ma'am. I'll get it right away.
Now, come along, Mary Jane, dear. Do try it. It's delicious and so light and easy to digest. Please, dear, just a little to please me. You must keep up your strength. I've had it made specially for you. Look, we'll sprinkle a little sugar on it, and I'll taste a little just to show you how good it is.
Baking soda?
So began the short, tragic story of the first victim of that fatal house. A week later, Mrs. Taylor was taken violently ill again. Pritchard sent for another doctor, a Dr. Patterson, who lived nearby.
Ah, Patterson, how kind of you to come so quickly. Before we go upstairs, let me tell you what has happened. My mother-in-law, she has been nursing my poor dear wife, you know. She was writing some letters this evening when suddenly she fell out of the chair in a fit.
I'm afraid it's apoplexy, Doctor. Now, if you'll come with me...
Has your mother-in-law been subject to these attacks before, Pritchard?
No, not to my knowledge. She's an old lady, of course. And she's, well, you know, Doctor, she's...
No, Doctor, I do not know. I've not the lady's acquaintance. I've not attended any of your family before.
Oh, yes. Quite. I realize that. But what I was going to say is that the old lady has, you know, rather unfortunate habits.
In what way, Doctor?
Well, she likes a drop, I'm afraid.
You mean spirits?
Yes. She has the habit of taking a drop. No, not to excess, you understand. But I think perhaps this time...
She is intoxicated.
Well, I wouldn't quite say that, you know. But at her age, you know, and of course another thing I should tell you, Doctor. I've discovered that since she came to stay with us, only a fortnight ago, that she habitually takes one of those patent sedatives. You know, a small quantity of opium.
I think if I may see the patient. All insignificant incident.
Jeannie... your attention for a moment, please. I want to speak to you most seriously. I have just found this bottle in Mrs. Taylor's pocket. You will recognize it, Mary. I believe she sent you to the chemist to have it filled.
Yes, I mixed it.
Exactly. And you will notice how little is left now. It is dangerous stuff if an overdose is taken. It contains opium. She has taken all that in a few days. Oh, I'm deeply shocked. Of course, I had no idea. Now, I'm going to put this bottle away, and I want you never to refer to it. For the sake of the old lady herself, you understand. It would never do, a man in my position, I mean. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Taylor had been Dr. Pritchard's patient. Dr. Patterson was called in as a consultant. Yet it was to Dr. Patterson that the registrar, on Pritchard's instructions, referred to the death certificate. Dr. Patterson refused. The death of Mrs. Taylor was sudden, unexpected, and to me mysterious. In the circumstances, I cannot agree to signing this certificate. So, Dr. Pritchard supplied the certificate himself. Primary cause of death, paralysis. Duration, 12 hours. Secondary cause, apoplexy. An extraordinary certificate, for any doctor will tell you that apoplexy invariably precedes. Paralysis follows as a result. And remember, Pritchard himself had told Dr. Patterson that the attack had come on just before he was summoned. One night at supper, Dr. Pritchard sent a piece of cheese upstairs to his wife. She didn't touch it, but Jenny MacLeod and the cook ate it, and both were violently ill. A few days later...
Oh, come quickly, please. She's awful bad. It's cramps, I think, and she's raving.
Pull yourself together, Jeannie. I shall go up at once. Now you run and get Dr. Patterson. Hurry.
Oh, she's gone off her head. She says her mother's there. She talks to her.
Here, girl. Go round to the chemist and get this made up. Richard, your wife looks as if she's not slept for days. She's at the end of her tether. All we can do at the moment is try to get her some rest. I've sent for a sleeping draught. I'm surprised you don't keep a few simple drugs on the premises.
No, I never have. With the chemist just round the corner, anyhow, it's dangerous with children about.
Nonsense, man. Are you a doctor or aren't you? I can do no more. The patient must have sleep first. I'll call back in the morning.
Right away. She's unconscious. I can't rouse her.
Mary Jane, my dear, my darling.
Oh, doctor, she's dead.
No. Mary Jane, come back. Come back, it's Edward. My dear Mary Jane, come back. Don't leave your poor Edward. Mary Jane.
In his diary, the doctor wrote, "Died here at 1 a.m., Mary Jane, my own beloved wife, aged 38 years. No torment surrounded her bedside, but like a calm, peaceful Lamb of God, she passed away. A nice, sentimental soul was our Dr. Pritchard. Incidentally, again supplied the death certificate. Variety being the spice of life, he attributed the cause of his wife's death to gastric fever. He went through to Edinburgh to arrange the funeral. In the presence of her family, we are told he exhibited a great deal of feeling. He especially asked for the coffin to be opened, that he might for the last time kiss the cold lips of his dead wife. A macabre moment surely unparalleled in the history of crime. But while he was away from Glasgow, something happened there. The police received a letter.
Sir, Dr. Pritchard's mother-in-law died suddenly and unexpectedly about 3 weeks ago at his house in Sauchiehall Street, Glasgow, under circumstances at least very suspicious. His wife died today also suddenly and unexpectedly and under circumstances equally suspicious. We think it right to draw your attention to the above as the proper person to take action in the matter and see justice done.
The letter was anonymous, signed in Latin, a lover of justice. Its authorship was never established. But the police moved quickly. The house in Sauchiehall Street was searched. The fine comb of detective inquiry was drawn through the life of Pritchard, and such were the results that as he stepped from the Edinburgh train, the doctor was arrested. The inquiries went on, post-mortem, exhumation of the mother-in-law, chemical analysis. The case built up, and so the trial began. Experts swore that the death of both women came from the same cause, chronic arsenical poisoning. But perhaps the moment that turned the scales of public opinion was one which came as a complete dramatic surprise. The Solicitor General, leading counsel of the prosecution, is examining the servant, Jenny MacLeod.
Did Mrs. Pritchard ever see her husband use any familiarities towards you?
Yes.
What were they?
This is very unpleasant, but there is no avoiding it. You must tell the whole story.
She saw him kissing me.
Did she speak to you about it?
I spoke to her. I wanted to get away, but she wouldn't have let me.
Why?
She said she would speak to the doctor.
Did you become with child to the doctor?
Yes.
Before or after the kissing incident?
After.
Was the child born?
Oh, no.
Did the relationship between you and the doctor continue after this?
Yes.
Did he ever speak of marrying you?
Yes.
What did he say? When he spoke of marrying you, did he speak of his wife? What did he say? You cannot possibly like standing there, but you must if you do not answer the question. What were the words he used to you?
Tell us what he said, because it must be known.
Did he say he would marry you if his wife died?
Yes.
Did he say that often?
Oh, no, just once.
Was that before his wife became ill?
A motive at last? I think if you'd been serving on that jury, your mind would have seized on this dramatic revelation as the first indication of a possible answer to the great question, if he did it, why did he do it? Then the defense counsel, Mr. Rutherford Clark, took up the same point in his speech to the jury.
Gentlemen, if Jeannie MacLeod is to be believed, if without any corroboration whatever, Jeannie MacLeod's story is to be taken as true in the absence of any proof, surely you cannot conceive that therein lies a motive which would influence the prisoner. The motive, as I understand it, seems to be that he desired to marry this girl whom he had already long possessed, and that to carry out this intention, he was ready to tread over the dead bodies of those two defenseless women. Marriage may, as she said, have been spoken of in jest, but it's surely not a motive.
When the judge addressed the jury, was their minds of any idea that the question of motive had been answered for them?
I suggest to you that the motive of the prisoner's pecuniary difficulties would be relieved by the death of Mrs. Taylor does not seem to have been satisfactorily made out. Another motive has been suggested, but it is for you to say whether you think that an illicit connection with a servant girl is sufficient to account for his taking up the nefarious purpose of murdering his wife. Absence of motive is not a very uncommon thing. You are not in a position to say there was no motive. And the absence of evidence of motive is not a sufficient reason for acquitting the prisoner if you are satisfied from the other evidence that he is guilty.
The jury was out for only 55 minutes.
Have you agreed upon a verdict? The jury unanimously find the prisoner guilty of both charges.
And so, on a fine summer's morning in July 1865, Edward Pritchard, with a prayer on his lips, mounted the scaffold which had been erected overnight on a piece of open ground by the River Clyde at Glasgow Quay. Without motive? Maybe. But no man on the jury would send Pritchard to the gallows. He'd have lost a night's sleep wondering if justice had been done. For in the condemned cell a few days before he died, the prisoner called for pen and paper and wrote,
I, Edward William Pritchard, in the full possession of all my senses and understanding the awful position in which I am placed, do make a free and full confession that the sentence pronounced upon me is just, that I am guilty of the death of my mother-in-law, Mrs. Taylor, and of my wife, Mary Jane Pritchard, and that I can assign no motive for the conduct which actuated me, beyond a species of terrible madness and the use of ardent spirits. I hereby freely and fully...
Yes, perhaps the title was right, for in the long run, Dr. Pritchard could not find a motive himself.
In service, starting mileage 2497, 2497. Officers Perkins and Madlock, turret duty 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. on the night watch.
Check 50, 6:02 p.m., starting night watch.
This is Don Reed, and I'm the police recorder riding with this detective unit. The sounds you're listening to are authentic, and you're going to ride with us tonight and listen as the cases unfold. Now, I want you to remember one thing. The people you hear are not actors. This is real. This is what happens on the Night Watch.
Night Watch, the actual on-the-scene report of your police force in action. There are no actors. There is no script. Every voice, every sound is authentic. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur. Night Watch, presented with the cooperation of the Police Department of Culver City, California. W.N. Hildebrand, Chief. We switch you now to car 50 on patrol and your police recorder, Don Reed.
Well, it's 1:30 a.m. on the night watch. We've been patrolling for over 7 hours, and things have been fairly quiet tonight. Just checking our log. At 8:21 p.m., assisted car 57 with a miscellaneous injury call. 9:30 until approximately 12:40 a.m., we staked out on a liquor store on a tip that it might be held up. 3 hours of waiting and no soap.
Well, you can't say we didn't try, Don.
That's right. You know, people
all
really
units,
use it.
All units in the vicinity on cars 50 and 52. At 2700 Burlingame, at the gas station, 459 there now.
That's us. 50, roger.
Rolling on that call. A 459 means there's a burglar there now. There's little traffic on the street, and we're actually in the vicinity at the present time. So, in just a matter of minutes, we'll be there. Rolling at a very good clip now, slowing down momentarily. We have a rather odd sensation here in the car. There's fog lying in patches across the street, and every few seconds we sort of burst in and then out again. And just for that split second, our visibility is zero. Here comes another one up. You probably can feel the car slow down just a bit as the sergeant instinctively hits that brake. There we're in second, and in the clear once again and rolling. Now, I'll try to fill you in on just a bit of this picture in this last few moments. The gas station that we're trying to get to. Hold on, we're making a turn. There we are, squared away. The gas station that we're going to, we've been there many times before, and if we can get there soon enough, we have a fighting chance of getting him, because the gas station is set in a large clearing, as I remember, and is completely glassed in. So if he's in that vicinity, well, time will tell. Here we goes another turn. We're about 3 blocks from the station now. There goes off our headlights. We'll run in the dark the rest of the way. Try not to attract too much more attention than necessary. The street is almost empty as we're coming in from the opposite direction. There's calls coming over our speaker. Now, looking off in the distance, I can see the lights of another one of our cars coming in. That's a safe bet. It's another one of our units rolling in. And looking ahead, there's the gas station over on the right-hand side. As far as I can see, it's dark. There's no sign of life. Now we're pulling in quietly. Lights are off. Car is stopped. Sergeant Perkins is out of the car and hurrying around to the front door. The other police unit is pulled around to the other side of the building. They're out of my view. Now let's get right out with the officers. Out of the car. Up against the building. Moving along in the dark. There's glass breaking somewhere. Let's get around there. There he is. They got him. Popping through the glass window. He was trying to make a break for it. The officers are putting him under arrest. So let's get right over there.
Back up against the wall there. Who else is around here?
Nobody.
Buddy?
No.
What are you doing at the gas station?
The window was busted and
What are you doing inside? Take a look at that hand here. How'd you cut your hand?
On the window?
Now put your hands around and back there. Don't mess around, fella. Put your hands around and back of you.
Please don't take me in, please.
I'm going in.
Please don't take me in, sir. Please. Please.
Get the flashlight. Put your hands around here now.
Please don't take me in.
Put your arm back. Hurry up.
Please, my mother will kill me.
Put your arm back here.
Don't take me in. All right, now. Oh, okay. Oh, please don't take me in.
You're going in, son. You want to break into a place like this.
Okay, I'm not going nowhere.
You're right, you're not going anywhere. The only place you're going is to jail.
Oh, please don't take me in, sir. Please.
What are you doing in this building in here?
I was just walking by and saw the window broken.
So you climbed in.
So I climbed in.
Take him in, Bert.
Please don't take me in, sir. Please.
The officers have the suspect handcuffed and are escorting him to a police car. Meanwhile, one of the officers are going to take pictures of the point of entry to be used as evidence if necessary.
Let me get a picture for you. All right, go ahead. Get out of here. The informant is across the street here, gave a telephone call. I'll go check with him. Pretty good observation. I'll check with him if you want. See how much blood I got on me.
None. Lucky. I got news for you.
You get some on you?
No, but I had it on my hands and I wiped it on my coat. I don't know where I got the blood from.
Should I get him on there too? That was a lucky break.
Boy.
And how?
Boy, that happened so fast. Phew. Let's move over to the police car where Officer DeVoe is holding the prisoner.
GTA, don't you know any better than from GTA to break into a place and try to burglarize?
Please don't take me in. I'll get all kinds of messed up.
Sure you'll get messed up. You should have thought of that before you started this. You never learn once, you never learn the second time.
Oh, sir, God, I learned, honest, I learned. Please don't take me in.
What are you going to be doing at 21 if you're doing it now?
I won't do this again, sir, honest, I won't. Please don't take me in, please. Just let me go. Say I escaped or something, but let me go.
No, we can't do that.
Oh, sir, I'll never do it again, sir, honest, I swear it.
Well, you should have thought of all that before you started this in here.
Oh, sir, can't you let me out of here, please? Honest to God, I didn't do it. I just went in.
Well, what are you doing in the building? The building's locked up.
The window is broken.
How'd you cut your hand?
On the window, crawling in.
Well, what are you doing crawling in the window like that?
I wanted to see what was up. I didn't know what was happening.
You can look through the glass, can't you?
I couldn't see anything.
Well, then what'd you go in for? It's none of your business. That's what we get paid for. It's our job, not yours. You been in trouble before?
Yeah.
What for?
For GTA.
What else?
That's all.
That's all?
That's all.
You on probation now?
Yeah.
Let's get around the building now with the sergeant and Officer Hebrard and examine where the suspect broke in.
I'm going to get some fingerprints on this thing, because if we can tie his fingerprints in there, then we've got definite proof. You want a radio for him?
Looking inside of the broken glass where we captured the suspect just a few moments ago. Let's see, it's rather dark in the building here, and I can see where he's been attempting to work on the cash register. Fortunately, he didn't quite make it. I want to get too close to the building for the simple reason we don't want to leave any fingerprints. The men will be down here. Sergeant Perkins? This is the gentleman that...
Are you the one that made the call?
Yeah.
Could you recognize who it was?
No.
Can you tell me this? After you called the police, did you watch the place here?
Yeah.
Did you see anybody leave?
No.
How many did you see here at the station?
Just the one.
Just the one. And then after you called the police, why, you didn't see anybody else leave the station?
No.
Okay, fine. Well, we may want some more information from you later. We can get it from your organizer. Appreciate it very much. It's very alert on your part. Good night, folks.
Only 4 blocks.
You don't worry about your house now, son. You're in it for a day. Your parents will be notified as soon as possible, but after the booking, not before.
Oh, do me no good, though, now.
Well, it won't do you any good afterwards.
But I didn't do it.
You just relax. Everything's going to be all right.
Oh, no, I'm going to get all messed up now.
There goes car 5-2, moving out now with the prisoner. Officer DeVoe driving. Officer Hebrard guarding the prisoner. Securely handcuffed. There they go. Now I see the sergeant waving. That's our cue to get back to our police car.
5-0 to Control 1. Have you notified Lieutenant Olson on the fingerprints down here?
5-1, I have not as yet. I am attempting to contact the owner.
5-0, Roger. We'll stand by until you get either Lieutenant Olson or the owner down here.
5-0, Roger.
And arriving now is the head of the Records and Identification Bureau, Lieutenant Olson.
Oh, me.
Hi, Lieutenant.
Fine, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Watch it now. Of course, he does deny it, huh?
He was in the place when we saw him, but he said he went into the door, found the door open.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we want to get the fingerprints inside if we could.
Don't disturb any of that glass there.
The rock is inside that apparently he used to break in.
The officers are going into the building, so let's go in with them. Here's a quick picture. The floor is littered with broken glass. The cash drawer is broken open and coins are scattered all over the floor. And spots of blood are here and there, indicating the suspect cut his hand getting in.
There's a penny there.
We're on the cash tray?
Yeah, cash tray. There's a lot of blood on the pennies here.
There's blood on the pennies and the tray, both.
The other money is still in the...
There's blood on the toolbox there, sir.
Blood on the toolbox.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You want it for analysis?
Yeah, let me get an envelope out here. Yeah, drop them right in this envelope.
I'll get some pictures.
I think that's all you need. Here's some more in here. You don't... That's the kids. He's Cook Gosling.
You are listening to Night Watch and following the activities of a detective unit on their tour of duty. The people you hear are not actors, and every voice and every sound is real. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur. We will give you the final results of tonight's case at the conclusion of The Night Watch. Now we switch you back to police headquarters and police recorder Don Reed.
We're located now in the Detective
You
Bureau.
tell us what happened tonight?
Sergeant Perkins, along with the other arresting officers, Hebrard and DeVoe, are about to question the young suspect.
You go by yourself?
Just sitting here, two things impress me a great deal.
Walking home?
First, despite the fact that this suspect is a big fellow, he's just a boy, maybe 15 or 16. And the great difference in his composure. At the scene, he was nearly hysterical. And now? Well, you decide that for yourself.
Nothing. I was just standing there thinking what I'll do next. So I went in.
What did you do after you got into the gas station?
I looked around for a while, and a container deal with some pennies or some junk on it. I don't know, I think I shoved it over. And, I was in the middle of picking the things up when you people came.
How much trouble have you been in before?
GTA. And, the GTA and the joyriding before that.
You have one joyriding and one Grand Theft Auto?
Uh-huh.
When you went to show tonight, did you have any intention of breaking into the gas station?
No, I didn't have any intention. I just started walking by. And I don't know what happened, but after that I just picked up a rock and I threw it through.
Did you try to get in the building at all before? Did you try to pry the window or pry the door?
No, I didn't try to pry it. I walked over and I looked in. I think I wanted to check my watch or something. I think there's a little clock in there somewhere. I don't know what it was, but I went by there and I looked in. And then I walked over and I picked up a stone, a rock, whatever you want to call it. Heaved it. I don't know why, I just did it.
Excuse me, just a minute. Perkins. Okay. DeVoe. Green wants to see you. You know, you're fairly lucky to have gotten out of that without being shot tonight?
Yeah, I've been told.
We're going to call your mother in a few minutes and tell her where you are. We can't release you now. You have to stay here, and then from here you go down to juvenile hall.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to take him back up? This is Sergeant Perkins. We have your son up here in jail. He broke into a gas station a little while ago. I don't know why he broke into it, but he broke into it. We caught him inside of the station. He doesn't know why he broke into it. Well, I don't either, ma'am. Well, I just wanted to notify you that he's here in jail and that he'll be here until tomorrow and transferred down to juvenile hall tomorrow afternoon. No, ma'am, we can't release him, but you can see him if you want to come down and see him. Okay.
It's about 30 minutes since that phone call. The mother, accompanied by the suspect's older brother, have just entered the office.
Gas station.
All right. Cry at home. What time did you pick him
Just
up?
looking at the mother.
What time was it?
Well, this scene is a little hard to take.
1:15.
What was he doing at the gas station?
He was crouched behind the door inside when I got there. The window was broken, and a lot of the things on the station were all over the floor.
How many boys were there?
Just himself, just one. He told us that he came by the station and he didn't know why he did it, but picked up a rock and threw it through the window, going inside.
I think the kid's become a mental case.
Are you his brother?
Yeah. We live about 4 blocks from the station. I mean, you could just as well continue on home. There's no excuse for it. How much did he gain by it?
He didn't gain anything.
Why don't you go sit outside, man?
You want to take us some water right outside there and talk to you?
Come on. Get up, man.
Let me sit here, Roland.
What's
I'll be all right.
Crying. You're so busy. He can't watch you all night.
I'll be all right.
Would you like a glass of water?
No, I'll be okay, thank you. You know, I'll just ship him up and I'll lose the book on him. I don't know what to say.
Well, we're going to have to find out what's causing him to do these things. Try to get it stopped before he gets himself into some trouble.
I took him to the movies, and I said when he calls me up, I'll pick him up. He never called. I've been laying and watching that bed. I figured any minute he's coming along. I see it's 2 o'clock. It's 2:30. I figured he stopped. He goes to Hamilton. There's a little place there, an inn or something, that he may have stopped there. I wasn't going to go out at night and drive around and look. I figured I'll wait. This is what I waited for. I'll just ship him right back, if not even worse. Well, this is it.
Would you like to see your son?
I'd like to see what he has to say.
Right. Would you like to see him?
May as well face the music. I don't know if he'll say anything.
Do you want to go down here?
Sure. If they can come down.
Bring him down here and then let them talk alone a few minutes. You live at home?
Yeah, I'm staying at my mother's house.
Have you noticed anything about your brother?
Nothing that would indicate anything like this. I mean, there's no actual reason for it.
Here he is, 15 years old, 6 feet tall, 190 pounds, accompanied by an officer.
What happened?
Yourself, really. You don't know yourself. You just go throw a rock through the window.
Where did you go after the movies?
I started walking home.
How come you were so late from the movies?
Well, I was so late. It was about 12, but yeah,
The way you're acting, somebody think you're under narcotics. Are you groggy from something?
No.
I've been up almost 15 hours on the clock. I'm sitting there watching that bed of yours. I'm not groggy. I can account for every minute. What happened to you?
I don't know.
You know what this means to you and to me, don't you?
Yeah.
What does it mean to me?
It was going to get messed up again. Why didn't you think of that before you threw the rock? You had 4 blocks to go. You would have been home. You had to stop on the way.
You want to talk to him alone?
You mind if we do?
No, it's okay. Why don't you step right outside? Shut the door there. Regular examination.
After having a few moments alone with the boy, he has been returned to his cell. And again, the mother and brother are talking with Sergeant Perkins.
A lengthy psychiatric examination, try to find out what's back of it. We're primarily interested in the boy and getting him squared away, getting him straightened out. He's just lucky tonight that he wasn't shot. If he'd gotten away with this, why, maybe tomorrow night he'd try something else. Somewhere along the line, somebody was going to get hurt.
I don't know what to say.
The only thing we know about the boy is the last 3 hours.
I don't think we know much more.
We can't get deeper into him anymore. I stood out there and he didn't say one word. So, I don't know. Somewhere something is wrong.
You have been listening to an actual capture and interrogation of a young juvenile suspect charged with burglary. And now back to police headquarters and Chief W.N. Hildebrand.
Tonight's case of the juvenile burglar is very unique because it allowed you to follow the action from the very inception of the call. Although this case may be more or less routine as far as the records go, the important thing was the apprehension of this boy and the instigation of corrective measures. My department is cooperating in bringing you Night Watch because we believe by bringing into the open such cases as you heard tonight, we may help to deter some youngsters throughout the country who are taking the same chances and have not yet been caught. If we succeed in just reaching a few of them, then our efforts will be well rewarded in bringing you Night Watch.
Thank you, Chief Hildebrand. You have just heard on-the-scene reports of your police force in action. Every voice, every sound has been real. Night Watch, brought to you through the cooperation of your police department of Culver City, California, is produced by Sterling Tracy and Jim Hadlock, with technical advice by Sergeant Ron Perkins, and described in the field by police recorder Don Reed.
It's 4:30 a.m., and we've just pulled into the police garage after taking the mother and brother of the suspect home. Well, I don't know how you feel about it, but, brother, I've had it.
I'm with you.
You know, Sergeant, I can't help but think of that boy tonight. His mother breaking into that gas station.
Yeah, but that isn't all he broke tonight. Let me have a cigarette, will you?
Yeah, sure. Here you are.
Control 1 to 50, are you still in service?
50-1, we're just checking in now.
Roger, 50, 4:36 a.m., end of Night Watch.